The Apache scouts dragged the stranger into the heart of their camp, the firelight etching his bruises into sharp lines. He didn't resist. He only watched with a calm that made the warriors uneasy. Niley, a 30-year-old Apache woman known for her sharp judgment, studied him with narrowed suspicion. She stepped closer, examining the rope burns on his wrists. He looked 35, rugged, and hardened by long travel. "Why come here?" she asked quietly. His lips twitched as if he meant to smile, but didn't. "I had no choice," he murmured. Something in his tone unsettled her deeply. That night, they secured him near her lodge so she could keep watch. Any prisoner placed under her care rarely caused trouble. But this man, he seemed almost too calm. When she brought him water, he whispered, "You shouldn't trust me." She stiffened, gripping her knife. "I don't." He drank slowly, eyes fixed on her as if memorizing her face. "You're not like them," he said. "You look before you strike." She ignored him, stepping away. Words were tricks. She had seen too many smooth-tongued enemies, but his gaze held a strange heaviness, like a man carrying a burden too large to confess. At dawn, elders gathered to question him. Nayeli stayed at the back, arms crossed, observing closely. The stranger spoke sparingly, answering nothing directly. He gave no tribe name, no origin, no purpose, only silence. The elders debated whether he was scout, soldier, deserter, or something worse. Nayeli sensed he hid more than identity. She approached him once the council dismissed. "You're lying," she said, "but not in the way they think." His eyes flickered with something like surprise. "You notice too much," he replied. She tightened her jaw. "Because people like you get others killed. Speak truth." He exhaled, heavy, but said nothing. Later, she brought him food. He hesitated before eating, as if undeserving. "You don't act like a prisoner," she said. He glanced at the children running nearby. "Because I've been trapped long before I walked into this camp." His voice carried a pain that slipped past her defenses. She didn't understand it. Not yet. Night winds swept through the canyon as he finally spoke again. "I know what your warriors fear," he whispered. "I know why the scouts watch the horizon every hour." She stiffened. Only an insider would know that soldiers were approaching from the east. But he continued, "I wasn't lost. I was sent. Her breath caught sharply. She raised her knife. "Sent for what?" His jaw clenched. "To hunt your people." Silence slammed between them. The fire cracked softly. She stepped back, anger pulsing in her chest. He didn't defend himself, didn't deny it, just stared at the flames like they swallowed his soul. "Why admit it now?" she asked. He lifted his bound hands slightly. "Because you deserve truth. You see through me anyway." She hated the strange honesty in his voice. "Why send one man?" she demanded. He shook his head. "I was the first, but I was the only one who regretted saying yes." His regret didn't matter. Lives were at stake. Yet something about him felt different from soldiers she'd faced. He seemed haunted, controlled by something larger than orders. "Why regret it?" she pressed. He swallowed hard. "Because once I learned who you were, I didn't want to be their weapon anymore." She frowned. "Who we are?" He nodded. "People surviving, defending, not savages like they claim." Nayeli felt a strange ache in her chest. Not many outsiders understood that. "If you know this," she said, "why not turn back?" His jaw tightened. "Because they threatened my family if I failed." The weight of his words struck her. She knew the power of threats. The man she saw wasn't a willing hunter. He was a cornered one. Still dangerous, still responsible, but not entirely by choice. "Your family?" she murmured. "Where?" His eyes dimmed. "A settlement 2 days south. They hold them hostage." A long, painful silence stretched between them. He finally continued. If I returned empty-handed, they'd suffer. If I died trying, they'd suffer. Either way, someone loses. Nayeli felt the cruelty of the situation, but she also knew danger didn't lessen just because the weapon felt guilt. You lied to enter, she said. His nod was small, shame-filled. But I didn't come to spill blood. I came to warn you. If you kill me, they'll send more. If you keep me, they'll come themselves. If I escape, they'll destroy everything. Nayeli stared at him, stunned by the impossible trap surrounding them all like tightening rope. She motioned him closer and whispered, Then why speak now? Why not stay quiet and let destruction fall? His eyes softened in a way she didn't expect. Because the moment I saw your people, saw you, I realized I couldn't be the monster they wanted. Nayeli froze, heart pounding unexpectedly. That admission unsettled her more than his earlier threat. She stepped back quickly. She'd heard flattery from enemies before, but this felt raw. Too raw. I don't need your guilt, she said firmly. I need solutions. The man nodded. Then listen. You have one chance. Move your people before sunrise. She narrowed her eyes. And let your employers think you succeeded? He hesitated. Yes. They need to find an empty camp. Then they'll assume I delivered the warning signal and led your people into hiding. They'll release my family, and you will be safe. She hated that it sounded logical. She watched him carefully. And you? He looked at the ground. I'll be marked a failure. Exiled, hunted, maybe killed. But they won't touch your tribe. They'll believe they scared you off. She stared silently. He wasn't lying. His voice carried the weight of a man who'd already accepted death. The firelight flickered between them. Why sacrifice yourself? She whispered. He looked at her with something terrifyingly sincere. Because you looked at me like I wasn't a beast. Because your people showed. Humanity mine never did. Because I won't let innocence bleed for my choices. Her throat tightened despite herself. Nayeli stepped away from him, mind storming. She should distrust him. She should call the elders. But instinct tugged her differently. She had always trusted instincts more than commands. She knelt beside him again. If I free you, she warned softly, and you betray us, I'll hunt you myself. He gave a faint, sad smile. I know. She cut the rope around his wrists. He didn't run, didn't try anything. He simply breathed, like freedom hurt more than captivity. You'll stay by my side, she instructed. If this is a trap, you'll die before sunrise. He nodded gratefully, not fearfully. Nayeli roused the tribe quietly, urging them to gather essentials. They trusted her without question. They always had. When the elders asked why they must leave, she only said, Because danger walks toward us with iron fists. She didn't reveal the stranger's role. If she did, he'd be dead instantly. The tribe moved silently through the canyon shadows, guided by moonlight and decades of ancestral knowledge. The stranger walked beside Nayeli, keeping his head low. She monitored him closely, yet with every step, she felt his sincerity. His anxiety wasn't fear of her, rather fear that he might be too late. At sunrise, they reached a hidden plateau where the tribe once camped generations ago. Safe, concealed, hard to find unless you were born Apache. Nayeli turned to the stranger. They will search the old camp soon. He nodded. They'll find nothing. That will save you. His voice trembled slightly. She noticed his trembling hands. And you? She asked. His eyes reflected both dread and relief. I'll wait near your empty camp. When they arrive, I'll tell them you fled into the mountains after I frightened you. They'll think I succeeded. They'll release my family. Then, they'll cast me out. Nayeli stepped closer, studying him. She expected fear. Instead, she saw acceptance, almost peace. You're choosing death, she said. He shook his head. I'm choosing not to be who they made me. Something inside her fluttered, something she didn't want to name. Compassion, admiration, perhaps more hidden under responsibility. She placed a small knife in his hand. If they come for you, don't surrender. He looked at the knife as if it were a final gift. I'll use it only if I must. Her voice softened. And if you survive exile? He looked at her with meaning. Then I'll return, if you allow. She said nothing, but her silence wasn't rejection. It was hope she couldn't voice. The stranger turned away slowly, walking back toward the abandoned camp. Nayeli watched until he vanished behind stone ridges. She whispered a quiet prayer, not for her tribe, but for him. A man sent to hunt them, now risking everything to save them. By midday, distant echoes of shouting reached the plateau. Nayeli knew soldiers had arrived. Minutes later, a single sharp gunshot cut through the wind. Her heart lurched painfully. Sun sank. No footsteps returned, no messenger, no sign. Then, as night fell fully, a lone shadow appeared at the edge of the plateau. Wounded, exhausted, alive. The stranger limped toward her, blood trailing down his arm but eyes shining with relief. They believed me, he rasped. My family is safe. Nayeli stepped forward, catching his arm before he collapsed. Then stay, she whispered. And for the first time since his capture, he allowed himself to breathe. The tribe slept lightly that night, anxious from the man's presence. But Nayeli did not sleep at all. She watched him from across the fire, noticing how his gaze followed the wounded children bundled in blankets. Something had shifted in him. She felt it before he even spoke. He wasn't the same captive. When elders questioned him again, he hesitated longer than before. Their questions were sharp, urgent, and heavy with distrust. Yet the man's eyes drifted toward the elderly women struggling to feed the youngest. Something inside him cracked. Not fear, not guilt. Something deeper, understanding. The enemy he came for looked nothing like monsters. He swallowed hard as one child coughed violently nearby. The sound tore through the camp like a reminder of their fragility. His hand trembled. The folded plan tucked beneath his shirt felt heavier than iron. His silence stretched so long that even the elders sensed he was unraveling from the inside. Finally, he reached into his shirt and pulled out the mission papers, the map, the instructions, the coded signals. Nayeli's eyes widened. The elders stepped forward, expecting an explanation, a threat, perhaps a confession. Instead, he walked to the fire. Without a word, he dropped the papers onto the flames. The fire hissed and cracked as the paper curled, darkened, and disappeared. Shock rippled through the onlookers. Nayeli stood frozen. The man had just destroyed the very command that brought him here, the tool meant to condemn them. He watched the flames hungrily, as if letting them consume his sins. The elders demanded to know why. His throat worked hardest on an answer he wasn't sure how to speak. Because I can't carry it anymore, he finally whispered. You're not my target. You're people fighting to survive. His voice broke. Nayeli felt the tribe shift around them, not trust, but pause. They did not release him, but they also did not strike him. That was enough for him to breathe. Nayeli approached cautiously, searching his face for deception. Instead, she found exhaustion. Years of running, fighting, regretting. Why show mercy now? She asked. He met her eyes. Because I saw yours first. Her heart tightened. She hated that his sincerity felt real. She hated even more that she believed him. The elders took him to a guarded tent, but Nayeli lingered outside. She did not sleep. Every choice before dawn would determine life or death for everyone she loved. At sunrise, chaos hit the camp. Smoke rose from the eastern ridge, signal flares. Soldiers were approaching sooner than expected. Panic swarmed the families. Warriors readied spears and bows, though they were too few, too tired, too hungry for a real fight. Nayeli's pulse hammered. The man's warning had been real. Nayeli rushed to the guarded tent and pulled aside the flap. He sat bound, looking ready for execution. But when he met her eyes, he spoke immediately. "You don't have time. They're testing for movement. They'll strike by nightfall." She stepped closer. "How many?" He exhaled shakily. "More than you can fight." Her breath hitched. "Then why didn't you run when you had the chance?" His voice softened. "Because running makes me them." She knew what he meant. She had seen soldiers destroy villages, then walk away untouched. He refused to be that kind of man. Something inside her shifted at that realization. Nayeli cut his ropes with one swift slice. "Then help us," she said. His eyes widened. "You trust me?" She took a step back. "No, I trust what you burned." He stood slowly, wrists aching, but resolve firm. "Then listen, there's one route they won't expect. Hard, dangerous, but survivable." He traced a path in the dirt, a narrow canyon the soldiers avoided because their horses couldn't pass. Only those on foot could travel it. "Lead them through here," he instructed. "I'll mislead the soldiers. They'll follow me instead of the tribe." Nayeli's stomach twisted. "They'll kill you." He nodded. Maybe, but he didn't look afraid. He looked determined, like this redemption mattered more than survival. Nayeli's breath tightened. "Why risk your life for us?" His reply was quiet, almost fragile. "Because you're the first people who made me want to live differently." Her heart ached, but she pushed the feeling aside. Warriors hesitated when Nayeli told them her plan. Trust a former hunter? Let him mislead their enemies? It sounded insane. But the smoke rising above the mountain ridge warned them they had no time for hesitation. She forced her voice to steady. "If he betrays us, I'll end him myself." The tribe prepared to move, gathering only essentials. Children were strapped to backs, elders supported by the strongest among them. The man moved beside Nayeli, guiding them efficiently. His knowledge of the approaching soldiers proved disturbingly accurate. He knew where scouts hid, which ridges they watched, how fast they advanced. As the tribe vanished into the canyon shadows, he stayed behind with Nayeli for a moment. Wind swept through the camp remains. The world felt fragile, like a breath held. He touched her arm gently. "When they come, don't look back. If you do, you'll see me fall." Her throat tightened painfully. She stepped closer. "You don't have to die." He shook his head softly. "Sometimes living requires rebuilding everything you once destroyed, and that path rarely lets you walk away unscarred." His